Welcome to the Topsail Insider Podcast, where locals, vacationers, and those looking to relocate to the Greater Topsail area can hear all about the wonderful businesses and events in our beautiful coastal Carolina towns, including Hampstead, Topsail Beach, Surf City, North Topsail, Holly Ridge, and Sneads Ferry. Coming up, hear all about Saltwater Suites, a new hotel with ocean views, luxury bedding, QR codes, and keyless entries. And get this, every suite comes with a full kitchen, including a dishwasher. They also have a washer and dryer in most every room, and there's just so much more. Let's get started. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Topsail Insider. My name is Krista, and I am your host. Today, I am so excited to be talking to Mr. Richard Stroupe. He is the owner of Saltwater Suites, located just one block from the beach at 605 North Topsail Drive in Surf City, North Carolina. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me, Richard.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Saltwater Suites is a brand new hotel on Topsail Island. When was the building completed?
We opened our doors May of 22, but it took about 18 months to build.
And it's 24 units.
24 units.
And they are 4 unique designs. Now, were you a part of that design process?
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about the 4 designs that you have. All of them are queen suites except for one, the barefoot.
Correct.
The barefoot's a king suite. And then you have the nest, you have the low tide, and the sundown designs, and those are queen suites, and they're all geared for different vacationers or
That's
visitors.
Right.
So the nest is for an entire family, but it's luxury. I saw the word luxury in there. So it's a luxury suite.
It's one of those keywords for SEO, for marketing.
Yeah. Well, it works. Made me want to go.
That's right.
And then we have the low tide suite, which sleeps 6. And we have the sundown, which is more geared for a business traveler.
Right.
And they all have ocean views.
Yes. All 3 levels have ocean views.
I thought so, because I also look at the videos online, and somebody opened up that door and you can just see the ocean.
Yeah, we have an awesome team that helps build our content on Instagram and Facebook.
They're
and
great.
They do a phenomenal job.
Keep them.
Yeah,
They're doing a great job.
absolutely.
Your hotel suites are more like condos instead of hotel rooms.
Correct.
Talk to me about that.
So the original concept of the suite, or the open floor model that we had, really originated from my time at Loggerhead Inn. So I bought Loggerhead in 2017 with the idea of doing small renovations over time, just to manage cash flow and the whole process of the work involved, since I still had a full-time job up in Virginia. And
you were doing Loggerhead while you were still living in Virginia?
correct.
Wow.
Yeah, I still live in Virginia.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why it was hard to get you in my schedule. Right. Okay, now I understand.
I might as well live in North Carolina. I'm down here like every 2 or 3 weeks.
You should move down here. Everybody else does.
I'm originally from North Carolina. So
Are you?
My intent is to come back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let's go back to Loggerhead.
Yeah. So when I bought the Loggerhead in 2017, there was a bit of deferred maintenance over time, that just age and wear and tear. You have to.
Right.
These depreciating assets you have to keep up and maintain.
And it's hard with the ocean air. It's really difficult.
But what made it even more difficult is that the idea was to transform Loggerhead from the original format that it had into something completely different, where it looked more like a bedroom you'd have in a beach house, as far as the appeal and the colors and the floor. On the backside of the Loggerhead, where the original units were built, there was one in the corner. I can still remember the number 8 is where we named it. And they had this sink area over to the side. And that's where they used to, because a bunch of pier fishermen used to rent there.
Right.
And they would bring their fish back and they would clean it in this big open sink. During the remodel, we decided to basically take that room and that open sink area and combine it into a concept where it would have a full kitchen, a double bed, and then a little, I would say, a couch, love seat area, and a TV, almost like a Hampton Inn type model.
Gotcha.
So once we did that, we're like, oh my God, this thing's going to be really nice. A lot of people came by, wow, this is great. This doesn't exist on the island, short-term hospitality. to find this type of experience, you'd have to rent a house, and mostly for 7 days. There's no short-term option for something of that nature.
Sure.
So then we decided on the Dolphin Street side, there were total of 12 small rooms, about, I don't say 160 square feet. They were tiny. And we decided to basically collapse the 6 into 3 and 3. So we made smaller suites on the Dolphin side. So there's 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom with kitchenettes. So it's not a full kitchen, but it's enough where you have a sink and a small refrigerator to give them the option that if they wanted to do some cooking in the room that they could.
I think that's really important too. When you're traveling with your kids, you kind of need that option.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially what we've seen today, talking to the chamber folks, there's more and more flexibility in today's hospitality market where you don't have to rent a house for 7 days if you wanted to rent a product like what we have at Saltwater, which is a condo, can sleep up to 6, 8 people if you really want to stuff them in there. And you have a full kitchen and everything's baked in there, and you have a little small living room area to hang out. They can rent it by the day. So
yeah. I saw that. I was surprised at that. There's no minimum, and there are minimums with the vacation rentals.
Yeah, most of our, I would say, competitors do a 2-day minimum during the season, and that's to contend with the cost of cleaning and turnover and laundry, just so that they could make a profit.
Yeah.
We decided that to give people more flexibility, we do 1-night stays, no minimums, and we do absorb a fee for cleaning, but we do break a little bit of that off and give it to the person. So whether you stay 1 night, 2 nights, or 10 nights, it's still the same fee as far as the cleaning goes. Unless there's an option to clean the room, we can have them come and clean it at their expense.
Okay. So they can request mid-stay or multiple times during the stay if they want extra cleanings. Now, was this at Loggerhead or is this currently at Saltwater?
Yeah. This is at Saltwater.
Saltwater Suites. Okay. Yeah. Now, how long did you stay with Loggerhead?
I finally sold Loggerhead July 22. I sold it to the operator at the time.
Okay. Let's go back to the Saltwater Suites and talk about the features that you offer there.
Sure.
In the Saltwater Suites, you have full kitchens in all the units?
Full kitchens in all the units.
And these are like full-size stainless steel appliances.
Yeah, fully stocked with all the utensils, plates, and so you can go right to cooking if you need to.
I love that.
With a dishwasher and everything's ready to go.
A dishwasher too?
Yeah.
And then there's a dining table there for you to use. And then this was something that I loved, especially with children again. 21 of your rooms have a front-loading washer and dryer.
Correct.
That is huge.
Yeah, 21.
Especially at the beach.
Yes.
With the sand and the salt water, you got to come in and get washed up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No other hospitality product out there has a washer and dryer except for us. Yeah.
You also have 3 ADA rooms.
Yes. Those 3 rooms do not have washer and dryer in those rooms.
Okay.
However, we have 4 downstairs that our team utilizes for turnover. And we provide the ADA guests options of doing their laundry for them in those washer and dryer rooms.
You offer laundry service?
Just for those rooms, yes. We want to make sure that everybody has a similar experience.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
okay.
Free of charge.
And I remember you saying that y'all paid special attention to your bedding. Tell me about that.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed at Loggerhead was the bedding was okay. But of course, when you try to take opportunities to create different experience, you want to invest in a little more areas. And I thought bedding, pillows, comforter, sheets, things like that, you need to go a little over the top. You don't want to feel like you're sleeping in paper towels.
No, I thank you.
Yeah, we've had a lot of compliments on our bedding.
You have?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think we spent probably 3 times the budget that we allocated for. But I think it's important because if you don't have a good night's sleep, then it cascades from there. So we want to make sure that the pillows are great. The sheets are fantastic. The bedding is very comfortable. The mattresses are phenomenal.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And you have smart HD TVs in all the rooms. And you have, your website said super high speed internet.
Yes, we have 2 T1 lines. So we originally ran 1 T1 line just for internet and everything, all the IoT devices and TVs and such. We devote to that. And then we decided to run cable so we had a whole nother T1 line just for cable TV. So that way it doesn't ride on the same pipe. So basically the latency on the internet's not going to be dragged by cable. So you have different uses. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Other saltwater suite features that I noticed online is you have 4 new electric vehicle charging stations.
Yes. We just installed those a couple weeks ago.
Are they heavily used so
Yes.
far? Really?
The day we went live, very day we went live, a Tesla owner pulled right in and said, "Can I hook up?" And
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
Awesome. Do it.
Let's talk about some of the other things that you offer your guests. You have 8 guest beach bicycles on your site for use?
Yes. There's a QR code that our property manager set up. So basically, it's a liability waiver.
Okay. That makes sense.
And then they get a code to unlock the bike, and then they can just use the bike. So we wanted to try to provide as much experience to our guests. So the bikes are one. We just bought some Shibumis.
I saw that.
It's first come, first serve. But again, they don't have to go out and buy one. They can just use ours.
They're expensive, and they're very popular right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we're also reaching out to the community, like New York Deli, for example.
Yeah.
They're doing a prototype with us where they give us a limited menu, and we can send it to our guests before they come. Mm-hmm. So that way, if they want to order lunches or dinners, they can pre-order. And this is a pass-through. It just goes right to New York Deli. We just say, hey, here's the menu. Talk to these guys. So all the payment and everything, coordination is handled at New York Deli, but then they deliver it to the suites.
room?
Yeah. So if you're coming off the beach,
That's
spend the
so
whole day.
cool.
Yeah. And that way you can take a shower and walk outside and your food's there.
Everything's also high-tech. I love it. Yeah. Tell me about your common area.
So the common area downstairs is cool. We were able to set up like a ping pong table. There's like a gaming area with chairs and tables and things. People could sit out there and just hang out, drink beer. Mm-hmm. There's a nice breeze that comes through. There's an outdoor shower in the back. If parents want to bring their kids, and while they're washing off the sand of the chairs and the toys, the kids can play out there. So it's really
That's
nice.
a great idea. Yeah. I love that it's pet friendly, or you have some pet friendly suites.
We have 4 pet friendly, and we're talking about increasing it to 5.
Really?
Yeah. There's a lot of demand for pet friendly suites. The problem is that there's people that can't stay in pet suites. So basically, when we clean our beds, we specifically shrink wrap the pet rooms, keep it separate from the non-pet rooms, just so that those are the same sheets in the same rooms, just for hyperallergenic and stuff. And
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It is hard to find a good pet-friendly hotel because we travel with ours as well.
Well, having a pet's like having a member of the family.
She's our 3rd child.
Yeah.
How far away is the beach access from your hotel? I know you're 1 block off of the beach. Is that right?
That's right. We're 1 block back from the beach access.
And free on-site parking?
Yep.
And then tell me about the wedding event planning and the groups and the meetings, because I don't think we discussed that over the phone.
Yeah. So one of our strategies for increasing sales is to reach out to groups, organizations, and try to organize events like weddings or larger block type offerings for discounts. So we're actively engaging in community there and trying to figure out, hey, if you're coming to a wedding on North Topsail or on the beach, we'd love to host you and your team. I know our property manager has booked several weddings already this year.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, good. Now, we talked about your QR codes earlier and everything being automated. We don't check in at the front desk.
Right.
And get your key issued and then go to your room. Let's talk about what the check-in process is like for you.
Absolutely. So when you book a reservation, everything's handled online. And within a day or two, I'm hoping to get it like automatic, you receive a welcome email with basically everything about your room, full description, pictures, everything that you possibly could want. And also recommend, hey, here's some things you might want to bring with you, but here's what you get with the room.
That's cool.
And also it spits out a code. Each one of our rooms has a automatic door lock that resets itself. Mm-hmm. So that way, when you come, you have a unique code just for you. And when you leave, that code expires, and then the next guest will have a code of their own.
So it's like just a 10-key code pad there that you'll just punch in some numerical digits and get in. Okay.
Yep. And it's fully automated and integrated with our platform. And if somebody has a problem, if they forget their code or whatever.
Yeah.
There's another QR code that they send a request to. And we have a team that manages around the clock if they need help.
So at 2:00 in the morning, I'm locked out of my door.
That's right.
Someone can help me get in.
Yes.
Okay. You've been drinking too much at the trailer bar. You can still get in.
Right.
Okay. And you mentioned that you do have on-site personnel there some portion of the day.
Yes, there is a team that is on site during the day, normally around 8, 9 to about 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you need help, there's someone there that could possibly help you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned head and shoulders model to me on the phone, and I don't know what that means. Can you explain that to me?
Absolutely. So when I was investigating the whole industry, because I'm not a hospitality guy, I'm not a developer, I fell into this kind of by accident. One of the things I noticed, and a lot of people around here already know this, but I coined it a head and shoulders model where you have your spring season, March, April, May is a shoulder. And then you've got June, July, August is your head. That's like your high season.
Mm-hmm.
And then your September, October could be the other shoulder. So as things ramp up, you've got a heavy demand, a surge for people coming here. And it all starts around March, April, and it all subsides around October, November.
Okay.
And then December, January, February is like the dead period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I think that's changing a little bit
It
as
is.
more people move here and just kind of make it home. There was a full shutdown, in the wintertime. It was hard to even find a restaurant that was open. But now I noticed that they're taking much shorter breaks. If they're taking a break, it's a much shorter break during the winter.
Yeah. I remember when I bought Loggerhead, they actually shut everything down after Thanksgiving, and they didn't open back up until March 1st. And that was the first thing I changed. I was like, we're not shutting down. I'm like, the weather here is great. You could have a weekend of 60 or 70 degrees in the wintertime, and people from Charlotte, Raleigh, want to escape for the weekend. So where are they going to come?
I love that.
Yeah.
Good. Talk about your COVID methods.
We take COVID very seriously as far as how we clean what we clean. So there's a method of disinfecting the room. So for example, we wash everything after somebody leaves, run through the dishwasher, very high steam temperatures, disinfecting, and the chemicals that we use and the process that we use. And as far as just making sure that everything's
fully sanitized.
Exactly. Yeah. And we have keyless entry. Everything's kind of nature facing. So you don't have to worry about getting around a lot of people.
Okay. I also want to say I love your website. I was on that heavily last night. It's so beautiful. I love the colors. I love on the homepage, that picture, like pushing out over the waves and then pushing out over the ocean is so pretty. And that's what people come here for.
Right.
And it's just the most welcoming thing. And I love your logo. It all works so well together.
Thank you.
And you scroll down and everything's really clean and crisp and white. And it's just perfect.
It's been a struggle. So the first website we partnered with a company and we told them exactly what we wanted. We gave them several examples. And the outcome wasn't exactly what we wanted. So we respectfully worked with them for a while, saying, look, this is really cutting it for us. This is what we need. And I give credit to my PM. She found another developer. I found a developer. She found a developer. And we compared, contrast. And eventually we went with her developer who specializes in hospitality type stuff. And I just fed her, look, here's my requirements, this and this. And it took about 4 months fully developing, but it
looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Are you proud of it?
I am.
You should be.
It's a lot better than it was.
It's gorgeous. I encourage everyone to go and look at the website, but it's saltwatertopsail.com, not saltwatersuites.com.
Yes.
And then while we're on the name, I also love the name Saltwater Suites. It's perfect for our area. So how did you come up with the name?
It's a funny story. So we partnered with Port City Design Group out of Wilmington to create those 4 designs, the barefoot and the nest.
Yeah.
So Danielle Valente, she owns Port City Design, did a phenomenal job putting everything together. And it's different because most of the rooms you go into, you find your coastal type decor, I would say. This one is completely different. And I hired her to do the loggerhead work as well. That's how I met her. And I gave it some time. It was a little different. You almost have to put a different hat on. Okay, this looks a little modern. I'm not really used to. You have to think outside the box a little bit, but after a while, you get used to it. You're like, all right, I can dig this. So,
oh, you mean the look and feel of the room designs?
Yes.
Oh, it took you a minute to get used to that.
Yeah. Because again, you train. I guess like our brains run on a script, and it's what we're used to. And if you're used to a design pattern or surrounding, and
a standard hotel room,
right.
Like you walk into a Hilton, you know what to expect.
Yeah, and if you stay in a hotel on the beach, then you're probably going to get beach decor, a lot of birds, seashells, dolphins, ocean.
Very cliche type things up on the wall. Yeah.
And it still feels coastal. It just feels modern coastal.
It's very modern.
Yeah.
I love the way that it's decorated. The furniture is not
different.
your typical hotel furniture. It's not big and bulky and dated. It's beautiful. It's light. It's airy.
Yeah. Again, it's something
modern.
I think you'd find in a beach house. Again, you walk into a room and you feel it's the same type of experience.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. They did a great job.
Yep.
So tell me about the name.
She actually picked the name.
She did.
Yep. So
how did she come up with it?
She's a fabulous
designer
person.
and creative.
She's very creative. Yeah. It's like, it's basic, but it's also very nice. Saltwater Suites. All right. That kind of rings a little bit.
It does.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
We talked about this earlier, but I do love your Facebook presence and the team that you have doing that. It always captures my attention. A video goes up through my feed. I'm like, I know that's Saltwater Suites. Click on it. Yeah. And then it's the most recent one that got my attention so much is there's someone laying in bed and she throws the covers off and walks to the window and opens the door and looks out and it's,
That's right.
yeah. It's amazing.
Her name's Anna. She's fantastic.
Oh, Anna. Hey, Anna. Yeah. I love your work.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job.
We always talk with one another. Okay, here's the next reel. I need something like this. She's like, okay, great. What do you think about this? And then we throw some stuff around. So
she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's really good.
I'm almost done gushing. I also love your community involvement. I want to talk a little bit about what you're doing to give back to the community. Tell me about Saltwater Foundation.
So the Saltwater Foundation is dedicated to being very active in the community and giving back to the local charities. I set this up, and again, we wanted to create a mechanism to improve the lives and well-being of the individuals in this area, Topsail, Wilmington area. We provide grants to organizations who are very thorough at their job and very specific at what they do. We have a lot of recommendations, and again, we're trying to spread it out into different groups. Like we've given to the Humane Society, we've given to food banks, and we've given to area groups like the Real Housewives or the Paddle for Troops, Habitat for Humanity, just some of the recent ones that we had. But so far we've given out over $55,000.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
And my goal is to hit 500,000. But again, it's going to take some time.
Yeah, that's a big goal.
Yeah. So to me, it's, hey, if Saltwater wins and we're doing good, we're giving back to the community and we're reinvesting in the community. So if the old cliche, the tide rises all boats. So we're just I
love that.
We're trying to raise all boats around us and give back. So.
That's really cool. Thank you for doing that. Okay, let's talk about the big news. You're expanding.
Yes.
So let's talk about Saltwater Resort.
Crazy, right?
I love it.
Like, what are you doing, man?
You did mention a few of the hurdles that you had to jump over getting Saltwater Suites up and running. And so I was a little surprised to hear that you're already moving forward with something that's bigger even.
Yeah.
Tell me about what the difference is between Saltwater Resort and Saltwater Suites.
Okay, so number one, we're basically carbon copying the same suite design again at the 400 blocks. There are 2 blocks down, closer to Surf City. Okay. There was a piece of property for sale, and we had that opportunity and went back and forth about a year and a half and finally purchased that property. And I felt I've already got the design. We've got the engineering documents. We have a great team. I've got a good GC, the electrician, the HVAC provider, the plumber. All these people are really good to work with. And if I can try to keep my cost in check, it might work. And I knew at this time I had to sell Loggerhead to make this work. So my intent was to keep Loggerhead and to keep Saltwater. But after thinking for a while, I'm like, maybe it's best to sell Loggerhead and then build Saltwater number 2 and to have those, because it's a night and day difference. They're very, very similar hospitality style, but I think the experience you get at Saltwater is different than you would have with any other hospitality offering. So I wanted to stay consistent in the brand and what we were trying to do. So that's what I'm basically decided is, all right, I'm going to pull the trigger. I bought the land. We started buying material.
Was it all one property or did you have to? Okay.
Yeah, it was almost a full acre.
Okay.
Yeah. So after we've successfully negotiated and got it under contract, I started to procure material. That was hurdle number 1 for the suites, is that we had supply chain issues because of COVID.
Right.
And the shipping, like our elevator motor was sitting at the Port of Los Angeles for 6 months. And we actually opened without an elevator.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's one of the things the city helped us out with. And the elevator was finally operational in October of
Oh,
last
wow.
year. So it's almost 4 months after
Yeah,
we
there were a
opened.
few disruptions there.
Yeah. So we started buying material for the new project and putting them in storage containers. And again, we have to go through the city to file permits. It's every 6 months. And then once we were able to successfully have the suites under proper management and was operating, because you have to work kinks out. And of course, the men are there making sure that all the holes are plugged and the fire alarm system works, and it's just to work it out. Then we turned our attention to the new project.
So one of the big differences that you mentioned in the phone conversation for Saltwater Resort is you're now going to have a pool.
Yes, a 20 by 40 pool, saltwater pool, and a
Saltwater pool. That's awesome. I love it. You're going to have a clubhouse.
A clubhouse. That's right. It's going to be a 3-story clubhouse.
What are you going to do with 3 stories?
We're going to rent that out for events, but we're also going to make that part of the experience of the resort. So when you stay at the resort, you have access to the clubhouse and the pool.
Okay.
And downstairs in the clubhouse, there's going to be about 900 square feet, fully air conditioned. And we're going to partner with local businesses to come sell their goods and services.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we're experimenting that now. We've partnered with Scoops Ice Cream down in Topsail Beach. So they've been there a few times selling their homemade goods, which is awesome. And there's several businesses that we're going to invite and say, hey, you know what? Use it. And then if the guests want to come, you can advertise on your own channels. We're not going to charge anything for it. Again, we're trying to be an advocate for small business.
Businesses supporting businesses.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. And then where we, from a business model point of view, we'll rent that out for events. Again, downstairs it's 900 square feet, but then you have 2 levels that are going to be open like a deck.
Okay.
And there'll be a makeshift bar on the second level.
Okay.
And everything will be fully supported for bands and things. We're thinking like if somebody wants to bring a band, put them on the second floor.
That'd be great.
Or give it on the 3rd floor, and then they can have access to the pool and have birthday parties or corporate events.
That'd be great. So let's talk about you for a minute. I want to hear a little bit about your personal history. I always ask this of my guests. I'm just curious because no one really is from around here. So I always ask, where were you born and raised?
I'm originally from Gaston County, a little town called Cherryville, which is 45 minutes west of Charlotte.
Okay.
And growing up, my grandparents had a beach house in Carolina Beach.
Oh, that explains some things right there. Yeah.
So I spent most of all my summers playing Little League Baseball and coming down to Carolina Beach and eating Brett's Donuts and
Donuts, yeah.
going to the carnivals and seeing all the interesting people.
So that's in North Carolina. And then you said you moved to Virginia. What was the succession of your travels?
So I graduated from App State and took a job with a government contractor right outside of D.C. in Fairfax, Virginia, and a software engineer working for the intelligence community. So that's where I started my career.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
A little bit. Working in software, and I switched companies a few times, ended up going to Oracle and really honing my experience around database development and the technology at that time. And it was before 9/11. So they were investing a lot of effort into what they call clustering of technology. But basically what that is that they were hosting systems in multiple environments so that if one goes down, another one can still keep going.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Disaster recovery is what they call it. And I had a chance to start my own company from that experience, and I did. So I started out as my own 1099 person working on multiple contracts, and that eventually led me to Topsail and had some capital. And I'm like, you know what? I want to have a place at the beach. I went to Virginia Beach, and I didn't like it. Ocean City is not my vibe either, and I wasn't going north. So like, why don't we go south? And let's just not be around the bush. And from a price point of view, we looked at Outer Banks. We went to Carolina. They didn't like the vibe there. And Topsail really checked all our boxes. It was low key. They call it Mayberry at the beach. It's very down home, and I love it. Absolutely love the people. Great restaurants. And it's only 6 hours from where I live in Virginia, so it wasn't too terribly far.
How did you end up getting from the software business to the hospitality business once you got here vacationing and buying that house?
That's a loaded question. I've built and sold 2 software companies.
Right.
So after I sold the first one, I had to spend 2 years not doing software, so like a non-compete agreement. So I became a venture capitalist. So I joined a local VC group where I was learning how to read not only business plans, but also financials and really understanding business and what makes it work and how operations could be more efficient and successful from an investor point of view. So there's an operator side. So me being an operator, I know what makes operations tick and what you need to do to be a profitable business. But from an investor point of view, it's a little different on the other side of the table. I mean, you're both on the same team, except there's different vantage points you have. And it was an interesting experience learning it from both sides. So spending 2 years there, I launched another software company with a friend of mine, and that went really well. But at the same time, I kept my venture business going. So I was running those parallel. And I quickly got burnt out because I started to experience frustration in how some of these other companies that we were investing in were managing their money and making poor decisions. So I decided to stop putting more money to work in that area and just focus on the ones that I had invested in. But I still had the desire to do something more, and that led me into real estate. So I started to really investigate real estate, watching HGTV, obviously, but really, listening to podcasts like Bigger Pockets got me really interested in learning multifamily and things of that nature. So in 2017, I saw the motel for sale at Loggerhead, and I thought, oh, how interesting. How often do you get to actually see the financials of another business? And I'm like, all right, I want to check this out just to check out their OpEx, their margins, and how things operate.
Oh, interesting.
So I just pulled in and said, are you for sale? Yes, sir, we are. Here's the broker. And I called him and said, hey, give me 3 years of P&L, balance sheet, tax returns, full list of processes. And you're like, what?
And initially it was just, I want to see what this looks like. It must have looked really good.
Yeah, it was interesting. The margins at the time were like 60%, and I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, how are you operating at 60% margin?
Operating costs, you mean?
No, the profit. They were making 60% profit.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't understand like how they were doing this, because I'm from a world 20-25%. You're freaking great,
That's surprising.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started to really understand the taxes and the labor and the cost of goods, things of that nature. And again, Loggerhead at the time was operating at a different level than what it could have been. So of course, if you're shooting for higher categories, it's going to cost a little bit more money. So that provided me at least the insight into, hey, I could operate this business and then over time, put that money back into the product and improve it, thereby increasing the rates. And if you can keep your cost minimum to a slight increase, but increase your top line, then your margins would expand. But I had a small setback after buying the property, and I ended up subbing it out to a local property manager after explaining exactly what I saw. I'm like, the margins are killer. I think if we put a little bit of money into this, I'll charge you a nominal rate to lease the property, but there's a lot of upside here. And he finally said, you know what, you're right.
I'm curious. I've never heard anyone mention a 60% profit before, unless I'm thinking about this wrong and I just don't know enough about it. Why would anyone sell something that's getting that type of a profit? Why were they letting go of it in the first place?
That kind of product needs improvements.
Oh, they were missing the maintenance part of it.
Well, the deferred maintenance probably wasn't at the level it needed to be. And
that margin wouldn't have been the same had they been reinvesting back in the property.
Right. Yeah. Now that we basically dismantled the property, oh my gosh, you would not believe. It looks very similar, but the thing is brand new as of 2020. But yeah, we started to peel the onion back. We took this off. Oh my God. We just go another level. We took the boards off. Oh, dear Lord, this is...
Was that where the setback came in when you started peeling things back? Yeah. Okay. So it was a bigger project than you anticipated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the team that I've hired originally to do the renovation, we put a budget down for that, and then we blew that budget probably within the first 3 months.
Oh, no.
And I started to cry. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a nightmare.
What have I done?
Yeah. Like, how far does the hole go? You keep digging. And eventually it's like you're going to hit the bottom. It's like, where's the bottom?
Okay, so you pulled yourself out of that hole and you sold the property.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the challenges or the hurdles that you ran into being on an island. Is there anything specific to that was troublesome?
Financing is a big one. Banks, back in 2020 during the COVID pandemic, they bundled hospitality in the same genre as restaurants. And obviously they look for consistency, consistent cash flow to make sure that you can pay your mortgage and your bills and not have to go through the foreclosure process. But after having to explain to them, hey, this is a Head and Shoulders model. Most of your money is made during this season. There's a surge. It's booming. Pender County is one of the fastest growing counties in North Carolina. They just didn't get it. It's just like they're deaf. Oh, you're still a hotel. No, I can't talk to you.
Okay.
So I had to self-finance a lot of this construction, pretty much all of it. I mortgaged my house in Virginia. I mortgaged my beach house down here. When you feel passionate about something and you see a vision, it's the entrepreneur curse. The next deal has to be better than the last one that you just had. You get behind this idea and you see it, even though you're talking to people and I think you're freaking crazy. Why are you building this in a hurricane alley?
Right. It's
beautiful. It's needed. It's a great team. Economics work. And why not?
People are pouring in here.
Yeah. Just last night, the firework crowd is crazy.
It was insane, right?
Yeah. It was insane.
You mentioned storming, norming, and performing. I loved that, so I just want to put a little note in here about that.
That's an old business school analogy. When you're building a team and trying to implement a vision or mission, you go through the storming, norming, and performing. And storming is you're working together, just like it says. You've got a lot of chaos, you got a lot of opportunity, and you're trying to build your processes and get everybody on the same sheet of music as far as how to operate. And then norming is when you take those procedures and start developing a process of execution. And then, of course, performing is just running the script that you've built.
Okay.
And, of course, that's an iterative process because over time, things are dynamic and evolution happens, whether it's in life or business, and you have to adapt to a degree of outcome. And you have to understand that you have to constantly be looking at reviewing those things to make sure that the customer's experience is exactly what they signed up for. So we take our feedback very seriously as far as making sure that folks are happy. If they're not happy, we want to know why they're not happy. And that way they can come back and tell their friends, because that is the best source of advertisement is word of mouth.
I love that. I've seen a few examples where people get offended and take it personal when someone gives some poor feedback or some bad feedback, rather.
Yeah, I try to remove emotions from issues because we're all passionate human beings and your emotions dictate your behavior and the choices that you make. And sometimes you just have to look at an issue and remove emotion and think like a robot and say, all right, how do I handle this emotion? Obviously, they're upset, happy, sad, whatever. But then if you remove the emotion, then it can help calibrate the response that you give to solve the issue.
I wanted to ask you, you've obviously got a really great business sense about you, and we have so many new small businesses in the area, and I just wanted to find out if there were any tips or guidance that you could provide. We got a lot of young folks out here that are doing a lot of startups. A lot of the boutiques are young ladies who are taking a big step. What advice can you offer them?
It's an interesting question. I've guest lectured at schools and a lot of kids have the same question, a lot of people, and I even talk to my own kids about some of this stuff, but I think they're too young to even try to comprehend some of these recommendations or concepts. But I think it starts with just having confidence in what you're doing. You don't have to be an expert in an industry. Here, I'm a software guy. I'm not a developer. I'm not a hospitality owner, or I guess owner, but like an operator. But if you surround yourself with professionals and you learn and you go to meetup groups and you invest your time in books and podcasts and really understand, all you need is a little bit of information, just a little bit of a spark. And then that creates you some momentum that you can carry forward into building out what you think you want to do. So that, I think a lot of people get hung up on that. Oh, I don't believe I have the skills, or I don't have the expertise. I don't believe in that. I think with the available resources out today, anybody can pick up a pen and paper or just listening to a podcast or a book and develop the necessary knowledge, at least to know where to go to the next step, whether it's to invest into learning from another person or whatever. That's number one. Number two is time. I think you have to devote a lot of time and energy to something. And with all the distractions of today, attention deficit or whatever, there's too many things going on. And I tell people all the time, you have to ignore the noise to focus on what you want to achieve in your outcome. There's going to be people talking all the time. You turn on the news and that's all you hear. Just block it out. If your goal is to open up a hotel or to start a company, whatever it is, then that's what you think about 24/7. You take notes. What do I need to do? What's my next steps? What's the model? Go learn. Go to a competitor and figure out what they don't do and try to do what they don't do better to lever that experience. It's almost like you're not trying to copy somebody. You're just trying to learn and observe and figure a better way of doing it, because that to me is like the American spirit. Competition's great. We need competition, and competition stirs innovation. And that's where people become innovative and become risk takers to do what they need to do. So I think a lot of it's confidence, a lot of it's time and energy and spending in the area, and just having fortitude to chase your dream. A lot of people, like I said, it's like just getting out of the gate is 90% of the challenge.
Truly. I have to say, I love talking about your businesses and all that, but that was really my favorite part of this whole conversation. Thank you for sharing that with me. And I know the listeners are going to love that. So beyond Saltwater Resort, what are your future plans?
Maintain saltwater for now. We'll see what happens with that in the future. But I still have desire for software and innovation. I've already got a lot of investments in artificial intelligence, space, in software. Cool. That's like my three areas of focus, and in the hospitality side. But started a new venture fund, and we made our first investment in a company out of Wilmington, and it's 100% software. So it scratches an itch that I had with that. So now when I'm here, I'm in heaven, because I get to live out my dream as maintaining and running saltwater, meeting the guests, making sure all their experiences are happy, and then have the software side and help them develop or pass on all the experience I had running my businesses and building software, and see if I can't get them to the next level. So
that's wonderful. I'm happy for you. I'm glad you're pulling it in from all sides. I love it. It's been so nice talking to you and getting to know you. Absolutely. I'm excited about having you here in our area and creating all these opportunities. So thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm just going to give out the contact and location information, so you can find and follow Saltwater Suites on Topsail. On Facebook, it's Saltwater Suites on Topsail. And then on Instagram, the handle is Saltwater Topsail. And you can also find them on Twitter and TikTok. The address is 605 North Topsail Drive in Surf City, 28445. The website is saltwatertopsail.com. The phone number is 910-886-4818. And your property is managed by BlueStar Real Estate in Wilmington, correct?
Correct.
And you can email them at saltwater@bluestarrealestateinc.com. So I just want to say thank you to my listeners for joining me today, and thank you again, Richard, for sitting and talking with me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for joining me today on Topsail Insider. If you liked today's episode, please hit the follow or subscribe button so that you can get the Topsail Insider podcast delivered automatically to whichever podcast platform you're listening on. And if you're a business owner and you wish to set up a pre-interview or you want to advertise, please email me at topsailinsider@gmail.com. Please also find and like the Topsail Insider Facebook page. I provide links to the new podcast there each week, as well as providing photos of the businesses that I'm highlighting, along with any of their upcoming events. So hey, let's do this again next week. I'll see you around Topsail.